Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. Starting 11 prediction time once again, this time for tomorrow's trip to Easter Road to face Hibs. We come into it off the back of that hugely frustrating afternoon at Pittodrie. The 1-1 draw on Saturday. The last thing we needed after how the January window ended. It almost seemed inevitable that we were going to drop points, given the energy around the club, given the positions in the pitch where we are really light in quality and depth, and those did come back to bite as we talked about some of those in the build up to the game. And listen, the performance itself, the less said about it the better, but I'm here, so I'm probably going to go on another rant, so get prepared. I think the goal we lost was dreadful. Seeing it back, again, you don't really get the feel for all of the mistakes when you're there in the stadium. You see it once live. 4 or 5 players really don't cover themselves in glory. Bernabé with the slack pass and then jogging back as if he's got concrete blocks tied to his ankles. Palmer's reaction's not good enough. Bernardo, even though he's receiving a really poor pass from Bernabé, could be stronger against Connor Barron. Who knows what the two centre-halves are doing. Nawrocki is in one position. Scales is 20 yards further forward. Some way into the attacking half, and Nawrocki's back on the halfway line or even deeper, and then there's this huge gap between them. Miovski just bears down on Nawrocki, who at first you think he's doing okay, but he absolutely gets sold by the step over, and it's a good finish from Miovski, but I think Nawrocki in the second half really struggled. It's a poor goal to lose, to go from the attacking position that we were in ourselves to one pass later, conceding a goal. Shows you the vulnerability in this Celtic team. I think defensively we're absolutely miles off it at the minute. The first half offensively, we showed that with the chances we had, the lack of ruthlessness, the lack of conviction in front of goal. But then to go and lose a goal like that in Aberdeen's first real threatening attack of the game, the first half they barely breached our penalty area. That's their first attack of the game. It's a really easy goal for them to score, despite the fact it's a good finish. Structurally for us, defensively, it's really poor. And I think in the second half, that when it became like a basketball game, every time they punted the ball forward, it looked like they were going to create a goal-scoring chance. And arguably, with Shinnie's chance that Hart makes a good save from, they had the best chance to win the game. So it's really disappointing. There's no doubt we're in a bad place at the minute. I know Brendan Rodgers said today that you get 4 points out of 6 and it's a crisis mode, but if you look at the last 15 league matches, Hearts have amassed more points than us. That's why people are so frustrated and upset. It's not like the team have been scintillating at any point this season, and that's symptomatic of the way we've been playing. We've got to sort it out. I think we're by the stage really where we actually sort it out and kick on and banish it all. We need to hope that we can somehow find a way through these next 14, 15 league matches, whatever there is left, because it's neck and neck now. We've given away the lead we had, and now if Rangers win their games in hand that they have, or that one game in hand I suppose it will be, we'll be level in points, and it's absolutely all to play for. We've got to hope that we can slug it out, and we've got enough in the tank to go and win the league title. Because I don't think there's any magic bullet that we haven't found yet that's going to turn this around this season. We've played more than half of the campaign now. We've been unconvincing at best, and I think it's going to be that way. But we've got to hope that we've got enough in the tank to get us over the line. Tomorrow we go Easter Road, where we've got a dreadful record, 2 wins in the last 12 visits in the league. Brendan Rodgers has never won there. It's again one of these stadiums, I'm sure you're used to me saying this every time we go there, I just can't put my finger on why we find it so difficult. Hibs, again, as they sometimes are when we go to visit them, in bad form. Lots of questions about the manager, Nick Montgomery, as there was with Lee Johnson, as there was with Sean Maloney before that. St Mirren obviously beat them 3-0 at the weekend. They were 3-0 up at half time. They're not in a good place at all, but neither were Aberdeen. and neither Ross County the week before that, when they gave us a really tough game at Celtic Park. So I expect this to be a hard game, as it always is for us, and we have got to come out of it with 3 points. Got to. It's an absolute must win, and despite the fact there is 14 games left, that is the stage we're at, given where we are. So let's get to the team, and we'll start in goals with Joe Hart. I think the back. Listen, I'm not going to talk too much about Joe Hart's performance. He is one of the players in the team where we know that we're just getting by, and we should have better quality in there. And I love Joe Hart as a guy. I think his character, his leadership, everything he's brought to Celtic, first season and a half, he was perfect for us. But again, at the weekend, despite the brilliant save that he makes, the defenders are constantly putting him under pressure, and he's shelling out the pitch, and the build-up is just all over the place at times. But besides that, he'll start tomorrow. Johnson at right back. I'm going to go with Nawrocki again, Scales and Ralston to play at left back. The defence would give you nightmares. I've been saying it all season. I think after Saturday's game, was the most criticism I had seen so far for Liam Scales. I'm someone who's been quite vocal this season about the fact that I don't think a title-winning side has Liam Scales at centre half. I think he's too slow. I think he's too ponderous on the ball. I think his strengths defensively are last ditch blocks, recovering tackles. I don't think he's really quick. I don't think he's nowhere near as good a centre half as Carol Starfelt was, and so that's another problem for us, as we have got in multiple positions this season that we've downgraded the quality. But aside from that, Nawrocki, who's young, started the game relatively well on Saturday, and then in that second half just totally went to pieces. And with Ralston being shoehorned in at left back, is the headline issue for us, obviously off the back of the transfer window, and to have to put Ralston in at left back and take Bernabei off on Saturday tells you everything you need to know about where this Celtic team is at in midfield. I'm still going with those three of McGregor, Bernardo and O'Reilly. The options in that position are even less now with the exit of Turnbull. But the likes of Home and even a Watt, I know Watt has been back training, but I don't see him coming in to take any part in this game. Hatati's obviously out injured. I think all three of those guys didn't cover themselves in glory. O'Reilly's been the one that we can pin our hopes on this season, the top performer. But even on Saturday, it didn't happen for him at all. He looked really unsteady. I think he slid. He lost his balance a few times. He missed a couple of good chances as well in the game. I mean, Bernardo, who I think we've went full circle on from thinking, why is he not playing in the first half of the season? Maybe he's just not got it. The string of good performances he had before the break, and even coming back, he scored the goal against Bucky, and we thought this is him beginning to motor now. I don't think he's done enough in the last two games either, and maybe that sums up how fickle we can be as football fans, as Celtic fans, that Bernardo's went from we're not sure to all of a sudden he was just give Benfica the £5 million now. I think we've still to see more from Bernardo over a longer period before we can really judge that. I think if Hatate was fit and firing, he'd be straight in there, and he would strengthen us, but we don't have that luxury at the minute. And all three of those guys, McGregor included, have to perform better tomorrow. But the front three is where I expect to see big changes. Kuhn to get his first start after his first goal off the bench at the weekend. Maeda on the left-hand side, and I'm just going to stick with Kyogo for the minute. I'll come to Kyogo in a minute, but I think out wide, the Abada and Palma are really letting us down. Abada's miles off it. He's not doing enough. He's not committed enough. There is no justification to keep playing Abada off the back of the last few performances. And likewise with Palma. Palma is becoming more and more frustrating as the weeks go by. There's no doubt he's got technical quality, but he's far too casual. He's too easy to read. He plays too slowly. His work defensively is appalling at times. The lack of intensity when he loses possession, when we're without the ball, is not good enough. And I don't like to hark back to Ange Postecoglou because obviously he's long gone and he had a very distinct style, but a player like Lewis Palmer wouldn't last 5 minutes in a Postecoglou team, because of that lack of intensity, because of the lack of speed in his game, and the lack of conviction as well in front of goal at times. He'd won in the first half on Saturday where it comes back to him, and you think this is a chance. He's got to just take this early, try and take it first time, but he stops it, rolls his foot over it, takes his time, and it really comes to nothing in the end, and that sums him up. We need a lot more from him, and I think, again, with him, like Abada, there's no way Brendan Rodgers can look at those two and think, do you know what, I'm putting them in again, because they are not doing enough. And wide players such a key component of Brendan Rodgers' first spell here, and I think this season we haven't gotten enough out of any winger consistently. Now, I know bringing Maeda back, his technical output has been really, really poor consistently over most of his Celtic career, but at least you'll get the intensity without the ball, you'll get the pace, and hopefully that can cause Hibs problems. He had a good performance there middle of last season, a really poor performance at the end of the season where he got sent off as well, obviously, at Easter Road, but back from the Asian Cup, didn't get too much game time for Japan, so hopefully a bit of a chip on his shoulder about that. And I think Kuhn did really impact the game positively at the weekend. One of the few bright spots for us. I think he deserves a first start. He looks positive, looks direct, looks quick. My big criticism for Abada is that he's not brave enough to take a full-back on. And I think Kuhn can do that, and tomorrow's a big opportunity for him. Coming into a Celtic team that's a bit low in confidence, and he might not have known what he signed up for in January, but he's got something to prove. He's the new player, the big money signing, the only money signing in January. The other one was a loan player. He's got to show us what he can do, and hopefully that is tomorrow, because we need something from him. And I know that a lot of people are talking about Kyogo. Should we drop him? I think there's no doubt he's really low in confidence. He looks a forlorn figure for most of this season, but certainly most of the game at the weekend and the game against Ross County. I can understand why people might think not to drop him as punishment, but to take him out of the team for a spell. But I don't think he will just yet. I think if we can get, again, hopefully more out of the wide players, if Kuhn can be a positive influence on getting Kyogo some more chances, some more supply, then that'll be a benefit for us. But I think Ida, to his credit, did impact the game well on Saturday as well. Might he start tomorrow? It wouldn't surprise you. Could we see Kyogo and Ida start? I don't know. I think Kyogo, drop him deeper. He's trying to force it a wee bit, get on the ball and make things happen, but it didn't really come off for him at the weekend. He did nearly score a brilliant goal where he beat 3 or 4 Aberdeen players, but I think it was a tame shot in the end. But I think forcing it by dropping him deeper and trying to play him as a 10 isn't the done thing for us. I think he'll start. I think Ida will be the option to change it off the bench for us. And again, hopefully we get a bit more intensity for the team, a bit more conviction when we get the chances like we did in the first half at the weekend. And hopefully Brendan Rodgers can put to bed this poor record that he's got at Easter Road. As I say, must win. We've got to lift the mood, and the only thing that's going to do that is winning football matches. So there you go. Disagree if you want in the comments below. We'll see you tomorrow at Easter Road with all of the full-time reaction. Thank you.